Shalom. I want to start up by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, Kol Halal Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Somebody said Deuteronomy 28 chapter is not prophetic, and that's false. It's very prophetic. This is a very long chapter, so I'm going to touch on a couple verses and show you that it is. All right. I'm going to start at verse 25. Yahweh shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them. Shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, to the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. Yahweh shall smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch whereof thou canst not be healed. All right. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. There shall be no might in thine hand. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. Thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always, so that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. All these curses fell on all the tribes of Israel, from the so-called Negro all the way down to the so-called Hispanic. Yahweh shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. There shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. Thou shalt become an astonishment and a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither Yahweh shall lead thee. An example of that is they call them so-called Mexicans, Haitians, Jamaicans, Cubans, Colombians, Puerto Ricans, African American. They call them everything besides a Israelite, according to their respective tribe. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. The stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. All right. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young. He shall eat up the fruit of thy cattle, and the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kin, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, until thy high and fence walls come down, wherein thou trustest throughout all the land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all the land which Yahweh thy power hath given thee. And then finally, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. All right. And they were never brought into Egypt by way of ships. It's literally walked out of Egypt. All right. The Egypt he's talking about is spiritual Egypt, which is America. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, meaning no man shall come to his rescue or aid. All right, so I'm going to jump through a timeline of history here, see how this really actually connects with that Deuteronomy 28 chapter. And again, do your research on Luis del Torres. All right, his real name was Ben Halevi. He was a Hebrew interpreter for Christopher Columbus, because Christopher Columbus expected to run into the lost 10 tribes of Israel. All right, and the evidence is there. I mean, when you go to the Native Americans, you see, Hebrew artifacts. When you go to the Mayans, you see things that look like they're Egyptian, but, you find the Ten Commandments and Hebrew writing in it. Everywhere they are, you see pyramids. Why? Because they built the pyramids all the way, the so-called Negroes, all the way down to the so-called Hispanics. All right. So do your due diligence on Luis del Torres. All right. This is a picture of the Spanish Inquisition on Cuba. All right. Christopher Columbus, his guys. All right. And a picture speaks 1,000 words. Men, women being hung. He's dashing their children against the stones. Again, everywhere they went, they raped, murdered, and stole. All right. Their flocks, their herds, their resources, everything. All right. And again, this is a picture on the Caribbeans. He's chopping men's arms off. There's accounts of him actually picking him and his men. They would make bets, see who could swipe someone in half with one swipe of their stone. There's actually taking their women. Christopher Columbus actually had a 12-year-old girl or a young girl keep him company for, just leave it at that. This is the biggest shooting in U.S. history. It was a massacre. This is the massacre of Wounded Knee on Native Americans. You can see their bodies laying outside on the ground for the fowls of the air and beasts of the field. All right, this is smallpox. The only reason why I bring this picture up, why I mention it, is because the earliest account of smallpox goes back to Egypt. All right, and when they landed in Veracruz, Mexico, the Aztecs got smallpox. They got they also brought with them influenza, yellow fever. It says measles here, and they brought that to Aztecs and to the Native Americans. So, and the earliest count of smallpox actually goes back to Egypt. This is the botch of Egypt. All right, and I guess they didn't have immunity to it, but really that goes into the prophecy of Deuteronomy 28, because he said he'd do it. So I guess they're very susceptible to smallpox. It's really from the Heavenly Father. He said he'd do it. And again, finally, the West African slave trade, which we all know that is the tribe of Judah. They were brought here on cargo slave ships. So yes, Deuteronomy 28 chapter is very prophetic. And again, when you go to oh wow, and this is him actually. Oh, and there's accounts of Christopher Columbus feeding women to dogs. This is him feeding children to dogs, things like that. Beasts of the fields. Well, I bring that up to mention this, because when you get to Deuteronomy 30, and they return to the Heavenly Father, and you get to the 7th verse. Excuse me, my phone's messing up on me. And when you get to the 7th verse, you can see Yahweh will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And that goes in with all the prophecies of Esdras, and so on and so forth. So yeah, Deuteronomy 28th chapter is very prophetic. And this verse here will happen because they are returning back to their nationality. They have the full understanding of the Bible. Again, the hell doctrine's false, Trinity doctrine's pagan, and so on and so forth. The Heavenly Father controls Satan. Everybody's essentially Catholic and pagan. The men of the Lord is the men of great millstone. All right, they hate the works of the Nicolaitans. They don't tolerate that woman Jezebel, which is paganism and idolatry in all its forms. And you'd have to be stupid to believe paganism didn't sneak its way into Christianity. Again, the men of great millstone are holding the commandments of the Heavenly Father and keeping to the testimony holding the testimony of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, according to the book of Revelations. So I suggest everyone get with the men of Great Millstone. They have the truth, the 100% truth. And another prophecy that came to pass is the prophecy in Ezekiel, when the Heavenly Father said, I'll be to thee a little sanctuary wherever I have scattered thee. All right, so whatever your opinions or feelings, you got to put that aside, because the Heavenly Father said he'd do that, and that's where the truth is right now in this time, this day and age. They also have the language of Canaan. That prophecy came to pass. Whatever your feelings or opinions are, throw it out the window. And anybody who's sincere, who cares for the scriptures, get to the men of Great Millstone. So with that, I'm going to say Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, Kol Halal Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and bless the Akim that are pushing the word in true sincerity. To all you men of Great Millstone, I say Barakatam, Bahasham Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, Waha Racha Kodash. Shalom.